I finished the audiobook of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So this is, for those who aren't familiar, I feel like everyone's going to be familiar with what this book is, but in case you are not, this is the newest Hunger Games book, but it actually takes place before the original Hunger Games trilogy. So this one takes place, let me back up. The original Hunger Games trilogy happens at the 75th annual Hunger Games. This one, which is the prequel, happens at the 10th Hunger Games.
I am honored to introduce to you the creator of the Hunger Games themselves, Dean Casca Highbottom.
I have summoned you all here for the 10th annual reaping ceremony.
And we follow young Cornelius Snow, who in the original trilogy is president of the Capitol at that point. This is his story, his villain origin story, really. And yeah, so disclaimer, I watched the movie first and then read the book. My final rating for this book ended up being 3.5 stars. I couldn't stop reading it, but I also felt like the movie did it better in some parts. So I really loved the movie and hearing the main character, Lucy Gray, singing.
I've burned out both ends when I've cried all my tears, when I've conquered my fears right here in the old there before.
In the book, the lyrics and the songs came off a little cheesy to me and just did not hit the mark, which I think what they were meaning for it to. Whereas in the movie, it worked because her voice was beautiful and to hear the songs like come to life was gorgeous. So that part was a miss for me in the book. I also felt like the movie made Snow more empathetic and easier for the viewer to connect with because you sympathized with him and you felt like he meant well at the beginning, at least. So in the movie, I felt like his character had more depth as far as a character arc because we are rooting for him at different points in the movie and you slowly start to see his descent into the villain that we know in the original trilogy. Whereas in the book, he's pretty terrible. He really is. He's pretty terrible in the book because we are in his point of view. So we get his inner monologue from the beginning. So you just see how cold and calculated and abrasive his character really is. And you like cannot deny it. Whereas in the movie, you can deny it because you don't really know what's going on inside his head. And based on like what the film portrays it as, you can fill in what you believe his motives to be. Whereas in the book, you can't do that. You know what his motives are because you get to see inside his head. So I just don't feel like that character, I just felt like, it's even hard to say, that character, you could just take the reader through a more roller coaster of emotions with him if you do it the way the movie did it, where you make us root for him and like him and understand his reasons for being the villain. Whereas what it really did in the book was just, he's a terrible person and at the end, he doesn't get what he deserves in the end of this specific book. So I really liked the movie, and I think it made me excited to read the book. I don't know if I would have finished this book if I hadn't already watched the movie and enjoyed the movie. So I watched it first and enjoyed it as far as it felt like watching the film again in my head, but with extended scenes and more details. But I liked what they did with his main character story development in the movie more. So anyways, 3.5 stars for this one. I did enjoy being back in the Hunger Games world. I liked the original trilogy as a teen, so this was fun to get into, and it was a buddy read with some of the bookkeepers community, and so again, another fun thing to discuss.